Okay, before we start, just a quick warning. This podcast contains some curse words and foul language, and this time we decided to leave them in.
Oh, wait, you're listening?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
You're
Listening
to Radiolab.
Radiolab.
From
WNYC.
See?
Yep.
Hey, I'm Jad Abumrad.
I'm Robert Krulwich.
This is Radiolab. Okay, so we've been on a little bit of a riff recently about truth and fakeness, because not long ago, our reporter Simon Adler, he told us a story about some new technologies right around the corner. They're going to allow us to fake audio and fake video in a pretty compelling way, and it kind of spooked us, frankly.
Today we have a strange twist on that, because not long ago, Simon and I had a conversation with Andrew Morantz, a writer for The New Yorker, who wrote a story about a ludicrous and weirdly epic hunt for what in the end turns out to be a teeny slice of reality. Can you just tell us what happened in that situation? Because
Which one?
The Shia LaBeouf one.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
So Shia LaBeouf is a movie star.
You probably know Shia from hits such as Transformers, No. 1, 2, and 3, a little movie called Eagle Eye.
Oh, God.
Not for everyone. But according to Andrew,
He kind of at one point looked like he was going to be the next Brad Pitt. And then he sort of spiraled out of control and started having public confrontations on the street. He wore a paper bag over his head. He showed up at the Berlin Film Festival wearing a paper bag over his head that said, "I'm not famous anymore," I think is what it said. And then he later informed everyone that that was an art piece called "I Am Not Famous Anymore." So he then turned into a performance artist, and he did multiple pieces of performance art.
does the art world respect him, or
One of his pieces was called "He Will Not Divide Us."
it was a piece conceived of by Shia and two other artists?
And the idea of the piece was, starting on the day of Trump's inauguration, there will be this live stream that goes for 4 years or the end of the Trump presidency, whichever comes first. And it will consist of a wall and a camera and a live stream where people can stand in front of the camera and chant the words, "He will not divide us," at the Museum of the Moving Image in Queens.
And this is being broadcast to some website somewhere
Yeah.
that you or I or anyone could go watch it.
He will not divide us.
And so,
He will not divide us.
on the day after Trump's inauguration,
He will not divide us.
The first day,
20, 30 people show up.
mostly young, sort of teenage type people.
They gather in front of this webcam at this
He will
museum.
not divide us. He will not divide us.
And Shia, with a red cap, front and center, just leads them in this chant.
He will not divide us. He will not divide us. He will not
And this goes on for a while, chanting.
divide us. He will not divide us. He will not divide us.
But within hours,
He is us. He will not divide us. He is us.
Trolls
He is us.
arrive.
it was immediately seized on by 4chan as a thing to ruin.
4chan.
Yeah,
How do you spell this word?
4chan, C-H-A-N.
Do we even know who is this 4chan?
How do you describe 4chan? It's a breeding ground for trolldom. Basically, the original purpose of it was a message board to discuss anime. But because it's this online forum that's open to anyone, where everyone is anonymous, it starts branching out in all these other weird directions. Some people want to do these funny, innocuous memes where they want to make, gifs of cats, and they want to, rickroll people and whatever. But others got really dark. They started harassing women,
Posting a bunch of racist stuff.
and then it also turned into just this competition for who could do more taboo, rude, terrible things. Like, their whole ethos, I mean, they really don't have an ethos other than don't get so offended. So they just say offensive shit until you get offended.
And at some point,
The trolliest of the trolls
thought the best way to be the greatest troll of them all.
is to be a pro-Trump nationalist.
He will not divide us.
So when Shia's live stream went live,
He will not divide us.
They just sort of couldn't resist
Us?
trolling the shit out of Shia LaBeouf. So immediately,
He will not divide us.
they started to show up and
Don't come out here if you're a troll.
start chanting things like 1488, which is like a Nazi thing, or they would just do weird stuff, start chugging milk or whatever. And then,
My milk.
well, it's almost become a game to take the most innocuous thing and make it into a symbol of hate. So you know Pepe the Frog?
Just this cartoon character of a frog. It looks a little bit human, but it's like green and has these big bulging eyes.
So Pepe was really just a regular old cartoon. There was no Nazi DNA to Pepe originally. They just took Pepe and decided we're going to take this harmless thing on the internet and make it into a controversial symbol, a hate symbol. They did it with milk. They're trying to do it with roses. They just think it's fun. It's a kind of troll. It's a kind of troll to get people to get triggered when they see someone drinking milk. So, but then it escalates.
Pizzagate is real. Bill Clinton is a rapist.
And Shia,
He was around a lot, and
Not divide us. Hey, be nice. Everybody be nice down here, man.
he starts getting defensive.
Be nice. Pro this, pro that. Cool, man. Be nice. He will not divide us.
And then
He will not divide.
this 4chaner guy, hops in front of the webcam.
starts saying like really terrible white nationalist stuff. And Shia LaBeouf gets offended. In fact, at one point,
He will not divide us.
Shia's screaming directly into this guy's ear.
you can see them both getting really heated.
And eventually,
Shia LaBeouf got arrested,
Shia took a hit for us.
and he gets charged with assault.
There were all these Nazis here. He came out and tried to protect us.
Now remember, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know whether he's really a white nationalist. And I suspect that if you were to talk to him, it would be no clearer whether he really is a white nationalist or whether all he wanted was to get a reaction, and he got exactly the reaction he wanted.
and in fact, the museum where this was all taking place eventually decided we don't want any part of this anymore.
Yes, the museum shuts it down.
Oh.
Now, no matter what you think about the politics of all of this, what really caught our attention was the fact that eventually this entire conflict between Shia and the trolls would all come down to one very simple fact about this video stream.
In fact, I'm going to pull up, I love being in the internet seat. I'm going to pull up hewillnotdivide.us. Yeah, okay. So what you get when you go to hewillnotdivide.us is you see a timeline.
So January 20th, 2017, the project began.
On February 10th, 2017, the Museum of the Moving Image abandoned the project. Then it says, on February 18th, the project relocated to a wall outside the El Rey Theater in Albuquerque.
He will not divide us. He will not divide us.
I remember quite early on in the Albuquerque live stream,
He will not divide us. We're still out here.
Shia LaBeouf kind of gloating into the camera.
You tried to shut us down in New York. We're still out here. He will not divide us. Here right now. He will not divide us.
Like, you know where we are?
New Mexico. We're out here. He will not divide us.
If you're so tough, why don't you come out here and show us what you're all about?
Fucking idiots. You want to be a Nazi? How is it cool to be a Nazi now? Shut the fuck up. Come out here. You know where the fuck we are. Come out here. He will not divide us.
Then, within a matter of hours, they start showing up and shut it down again.
Police are called again.
Police are called again.
Controversy again.
Yep.
Fighting again.
Yep. And like, so at this point, it's like, okay, this is just getting tit for tat. It's getting kind of violent. So then,
The project undergoes a change.
because obviously putting it like among humans is not working. So we need to remove it from any space where people can mess with it.
And so Shia and his crew have an idea, which is one day, totally unannounced, Shia goes out into the world to some undisclosed location, and he brings with him a flag.
White flag with the black words, "He will not divide us."
They hoisted up a flagpole, point a camera at it.
And then live stream goes back up, and it's just flag, clouds, blue sky.
That's it. There are no landmarks. There are no people to be seen. Just a flag in the sky with a message. And then
It gets really crazy.
the hunt begins.
And that hunt is coming up right after the break.
Hello, Chalmers here for Zorn Matson, Portland, Oregon. Radiolab is supported in part by the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation, enhancing public understanding of science and technology in the modern world. More information about Sloan at www.sloan.org.
Chad.
Robert.
Radiolab. Okay, back to Shia LaBeouf's flag in an open field.
Fluttering gently in the breeze.
Yeah, so 4chan goes, all right, guys, now we have a real challenge. He thinks he can get away with this. We are not going to let him get away with it. And they get to work. Within minutes, they have ideas.
A few people are like, hang on, what about...
The angle of the sun and the shadow.
Like, maybe we can figure out the coordinates of this place.
There's also audio, so they think, okay, well, we can hear rushing water somewhere.
They're like, okay, water.
You can hear frogs. So people start posting up maps of like overlapping concentric circles of regions where certain types of frogs live. Fog-dwelling frogs, night owl frogs. I don't know the names of frogs.
And so they got these maps.
Maps of rivers and ponds.
And like Georgia, Arkansas, Alabama.
And arguing about them and saying, no, I hate you. You're definitely wrong. They're like fighting each other tooth and nail for the right narrative take on this. So then
a breakthrough.
Someone starts combing through social media looking for mentions of Shia LaBeouf. And they realize that some waitress in a diner in Tennessee somewhere has a few days earlier posted a picture saying, hey, look at this. Shia LaBeouf came into my restaurant and got breakfast this morning. It must be in Tennessee. And if it is in Tennessee, what can we know, right? If all you have is a shot of the sky, what can you know that is going to be really determinative, that's not just sun and clouds?
So all these guys are just watching this feed when
a plane passes over. That is a huge break for them. They're like, a plane, because a plane is going in a particular direction at a particular time.
Oh, and they know when it went into the screen. They know the time.
Yeah. So if you know when a plane passes over this little patch of sky and which direction it's heading in, then you can make predictions. People start going, okay, we're pulling up maps. There's this thing called Flight Radar 24,
which is a live flight tracker online.
Okay, if this thing is within striking distance of the Knoxville airport, we think that it's Delta Flight 24. And if I'm correct, then in 2 minutes, there's going to be a plane flying east to west.
A couple minutes later,
they see the plane go over and it's all caps. Plane, 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 plane. People are taking screenshots. So
now they think they've pinpointed the flag to the northeast corner of Tennessee.
The Greenville area of Tennessee, that starts to look really strong. This is still the first day of the live stream.
That's the craziest part. They did this in 24 hours?
It's unbelievable. So then night starts to fall. And then once night falls, then things are really opening up, right? Because then you have the stars. So they start mapping the stars.
It's as if the stars themselves are pointing to the spot where the flagpole is.
Yeah. And wow. To be honest, I don't really know
how that works.
Yeah. But they go, okay, let's start sending people to drive around Greenville and honk and see if we can hear it.
See if we can overhear ourselves honking.
On the live audio. So we don't know exactly how this part goes down, but I guess what happened is it becomes this midnight raid where they send this guy around in a truck. He's honking. He's just laying on the horn. And
in the video feed, you can just barely hear the horn.
Eventually, people start saying in the chat, I can hear you, I can hear you. And he gets relayed this information. He's like checking his phone while he's honking and driving. And he does little narrower and narrower circles.
Oh my gosh.
Until they get closer and closer. And they eventually zero in on this flag and they find the exact field where the flag is. It's just in the middle of a field of a farmer that Shia LaBeouf somehow found and cajoled into letting him use the flagpole.
So the 4chaner in the truck writes on the message board,
I'm at this precise latitude and longitude. Meet me here and we're going to do a capture the flag raid.
A bunch of other 4chaners get in their cars, drive to the flagpole.
They amass in front of the field, and they realize that the flag is unguarded. They walk up to the flagpole. They see the "He Will Not Divide Us" flag. So if you were one of the people watching the live stream, what you would have seen is flag starts being pulled down. You just see it, squeaking down.
Taps is playing in the background. Bum, bum, bum. The "He Will Not Divide Us" flag slips down out of the frame.
And then 90 seconds later, they crank the string back up and to the top of the flagpole, and there is a "Make America Great Again" hat and a Pepe the Frog t-shirt.
And then one of the 4chaners walks up to the webcam and just whispers, "Fuck Shia LaBeouf."
And would Shia LaBeouf immediately know upon seeing Pepe the Frog that
this is game over?
This is game over.
Yeah, this is not what you want to have happen. I mean, the fact that they got to it at all is really game over, but the fact that they then, because the live stream was unguarded, they put their symbol onto the live stream and made Shia LaBeouf's website host their hate symbol for however many hours until the sun came up. That is really brutal.
Wow. And does this whole thing then stop at the point when Pepe climbs up the flagpole? Are we now done, or did Shia LaBeouf go ahead and
right? I'm going to go back to He Will Not Divide us. On March 22nd, 2017, the Foundation for Art and Creative Technology adopted the project in Liverpool.
In England?
In England. He's like, I got to get it out of this country. As I was writing this piece, I'm watching the live feed of the reinstated flag being flown in Liverpool, and I go, guys, they just got to it again.
Oh my God.
They had breached the location of the flag in Liverpool.
Now, wait, so just to wrap this up, the reason I mention this at all is this is, to me, an extraordinary example of what has to happen when you look at an image and you have to figure it out. Is this person real, and is he really saying these things?
Yeah.
What in effect you've just told us is a textbook sort of illustration of sometimes the extraordinary effort you have to go to find out whether, in this case, what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Where is this thing?
Yeah. I mean, in a way, it's a really encouraging story, right? Because even though this is not like a charming, comforting band of trolls, I think there's something sort of comforting about the fact that instead of looking at this flag streaming on a live stream and going, let's start our own fake version where we green screen it and have our own flag flapping in the fake breeze, they wanted to go to the real place and capture the real flag. Like, you would only go to those lengths to get to some flag in a farm in Tennessee if you really cared about the authenticity of the image. And it's because they believe in the sanctity of the image that it's not a successful troll unless they actually go take down the real thing. So someone still cares about real fields and real flags.
It's funny what he's saying, because it's like, if you think about what's motivating those guys on 4chan, like, they want to get a rise out of him. Like, they want to be a butthead to him and have him feel it. But that doesn't really work unless the thing you're trying to do, the buttheadish thing you're trying to do, actually happens. So maybe it is our inherent meanness, our inherent desire to screw with one another that will keep us wedded to the truth.
If I punched you in your face and it wasn't your real face, then what kind of a punch is that, really?
Exactly.
For more information, hate will save the truth. .us.
That's horrible. All right. So thank you very much to Andrew Marantz from the New Yorker magazine, whose Talk of the Town that he wrote in the New Yorker got us thinking about all this. Thanks, of course, to Simon Adler and to Matt Kielty, who produced this piece.
Yeah.
I'm Jad Abumrad.
I'm Robert Krulwich.
See you next time.
Hi all, this is Tom Painter in Mammoth Lakes, California. Radiolab was created by Jad Abumrad and is produced by Soren Wheeler. Dylan Keefe is our director of sound design. Our staff includes Simon Adler, David Gebel, Tracy Hunt, Matt Keelty, some guy named Robert Krolwich, Annie McEwen, Lateef Nasser, Melissa O'Donnell, Ariane Wack, and Molly Webster, with help from Soham Pawar, Rebecca Chasson, Nijar Fatali, Phoebe Wang, and Katie Ferguson. Our